This is the Nextorch TA30c. Very much a defensive flashlight, and my first time reviewing anything from this brand. And I gotta say, I am now definitely a fan of a rotary tail switch. This is a flashlight that I think is worth noting and does some things that I've never experienced before. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so full disclosure, this was sent to me by Nextorch for review, but I'm going to try to be as honest as I can be relating to it. So let's start with a walk around. This is very much a defensive flashlight or a duty light, depending on how you want to refer to it. And it's not trying to be anything other than that. So starting at the front, you can see the deep reflector as well as the strike bezel with ceramic beads along the outside for being a glass breaker in an emergency scenario, and probably just for additional contact surface. On the body side, you can see that this is a very, very smooth flashlight, which is a little bit of a disappointment. I would have expected, being that it's a light that you want to grip on and stay gripped to, that you would want a little bit more, well, grab. When it's wet or greasy, this is not going to be a flashlight that will stay easily in your hand, at least not without this ring. We'll get to that ring in a few minutes. The pocket clip is really nice in that it's small, it doesn't stick out, and it actually stays in a specific location because the tail cap actually screws down all the way, and there's a little groove that locks it in place. So really, really nice job with that. And it then also lends itself to locking the ring as well. Now on the back side, we have a tail switch that is very, very proud of the solid portion, and we have a rotary collar as well. So we're gonna go through all of that, starting with the tail switch though. Notice that the back side lights up when it's 100% or between 75 and 100. It'll be solid blue, blinking blue between 75 and 50, and then it'll switch to red, solid, and then red blink, and then you get the idea. So gives you a stepped indication of how much battery you have left. Now on the inside, we'll get to the rotary switch when we talk about user interface. When we get to the inside, we have an included 18650 with a Type-C rechargeable port. So this is a protected battery and is something you want to note. So do not use unprotected cells with this flashlight, but you could use anything that is protected, which is quite a few, so that would be good. And you can find bigger currents, but not necessarily ones that include a Type-C recharging port. So really nice combination of features for this. Let's go ahead and put this back. Now this is actually the way the flashlight comes. So we'll put the switch back on. I'm sorry, the ring on in a few minutes. So as you can see, the actual tail switch actually comes out and actually captures the pocket clip. So it ain't going anywhere. It's going to be on there and it's not going to move whatsoever. So that's really, really cool. Now, let's go ahead and get right into the user interface, because the thing about this light is it has completely changed how I feel about this style of light, defensive lights. This is genuinely useful in a day-to-day, as well as being ready to go whenever you need to access the highest modes. So first of all, the tail switch works only in momentary, which is ideal for this scenario. So half press gives you 1600 lumens and full press gives you the strobe. That never changed. That's always exactly the same with the tail switch. Now the rotary is really neat. What happens is if I rotate it to the first point, it will bring up 20 lumens. Now this lasts for 50 hours and is probably the mode you'll use the most on a day-to-day. Then if I go up to mode number 2, it'll go to 330 lumens, and this is a great output. I think 300 lumens is a fantastic amount. It's basically the top end for something like the Olight i5R. This basically, it's actually going to be brighter than that, but this is a good usable output, and it will stay on this output consistently for its entire duration. It will never change, which I think is great. Then we have the 1600 lumen mode, and this thing is very, very bright. In fact, it comes in around 23,000 candela, which is a lot of beam concentration. So it's a lot of light to throw in a very tight area. So you're going to get about 300 meters of throw with this, and so that's going to be particularly useful. Also, I think, I'm trying to remember how long it will last exactly on turbo, but it's a pretty substantial amount of time before it drops. I think about 90 seconds. And that may not seem like a lot, but at 1600 lumens, it's going to really start getting warm. There's very few flashlights that can actually maintain that output for any long duration before being too hot to overwhelm the electronics. But 90 seconds is plenty good for that particular output, and we'll probably get everything done. And if you're just leaving it in the TAC mode, you can then access that 1600 lumens, you know, whenever you want. And the way the combination works is, if, let's say I'm using 300 lumens, right? I got 300 lumens. I can immediately bump it up to 1600 when I need it just by using the tail switch. That's very useful when being used in conjunction with, well, a firearm. That's really what this is designed to do, is be a great complement to an actual firearm. Now let me set up this the way I had it set up, which is for left pocket carry or offhand carry. And I think that makes the most sense for me personally. I don't know how you want to carry it. Maybe you guys can let me know down in the comments. But that's what made sense. So I went ahead and set it up like so. And the moment I put the ring on it, it really got much better. I think that actually the way you can grab this, which there are many different ways you can, is just fantastic. It really has the ability to be more versatile because of this ring. It annoys me greatly that this is not included with the flashlight itself. And at $95, it really should have been included, because it is essential to the function of the flashlight, in my opinion. I've seen pictures on their website showcasing that you can actually clip this onto the pocket and actually rotate it so that it lays horizontally. And now you can have another form of hands-free usage, something I'd never seen before. But you can't do any of that without the ring itself. So it really should have been included. That's probably my biggest gripe with the whole thing. But surprisingly, because of the rotary collar, it's a much more useful flashlight day to day than I would have expected, because you can then just simply rotate it straight to that first setting and you know exactly what you're going to get. At no point are you going to be surprised with an output that you didn't expect by either pressing the tail switch or using the rotary. You know what's going to happen. And that predictability is really good at building confidence with the tool set that you're carrying. So I'm pretty impressed with this. Now, there hasn't been all that many reviews of this flashlight because it is quite new. But from what I can tell, this is a pretty impressive offering. There have been a lot of Nextorch flashlights in use by, in older models, and they've all had very, very good reviews so far. Nice durability, and definitely on the function side. But I think that they have really upped their game by including this rotary switch. It makes a big, big difference in its usability. You're not having to guess what output you set it up to be. You don't have to come in on turbo every single time. You can start off on the low mode, and that's fantastic. If you're going to have 3 modes, they did a pretty good job too on the spacing, 20, 300, and 1600. It's not bad. My only qualm with that is this has 4 spaces, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and it has strobe on all the time mode, which, considering you can get that just by pressing the tail switch, I would have much rather had a 4th mode, something in between the 1600 and 300, maybe at 600 lumens, and had that be constant, because that would have improved the light even more for my personal usage, but maybe that's not necessary for you. Not much more to say here. Great offering by Nextorch. Clearly designed to be a complement to firearms, and actually, if you can see here, it actually fits perfectly in the hand being held by my pinky, and then it lets me bring in my offhand, and you can see I can then basically have it in line with everything as I'm going. So really, really cool. But you could see without that ring, a lot of it is missing. Like, you really, really have to have that. So don't buy it without it. I think you'll probably regret it. Just something to keep in mind if you're in the market for a flashlight like this. Anyway, that's it. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for stopping in, and we'll talk again soon.